Jackson Radio Show.
Hey everybody, Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you're with me. I am back. I feel like I've been in a time warp. You take a few days off and things get crazy in the world. Crazy good for us, in fact, but I'll get into that more in a second. But here's what I'll tell you about my time off. It was work. Slave labor, in fact. Moving. Have you ever moved? Have you ever moved black? Yeah, have you ever moved poor? That's second only to moving black. It is a chore. It is a chore I wish on nobody. You don't even realize how much crap you've accumulated until you've moved. Unless you are a hyper organized individual, which I'm not. I've got paper strewn all over the place in boxes. I mean, it's just like, just throw it all in there. My sister flew in to help. It's been crazy. Crazy, I tell you. And I'm not talking about moving, because there's white folks moving. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all moved that way. Your parents moved that way, didn't they? Admit it, you little white stooges. No, I'm kidding. Our producers look at me like, no, seriously. We're a team of experts. They come in and they pack, and all the glass is wrapped in stuff, and other types of cushions like little peanuts are stuffed into the thing to keep things from moving and being jostled about and what have you. Oh my gosh, they're responsible for the damages, not you. Man, you're lucky. Let me just put it to you this way. Moving is expensive. It's time consuming. It's almost better to let the experts do it. Experts. Did I say experts? I'm tired. I'm punch drunk. I'm just telling you, it is. I feel like I've been beaten down. Now this, I will tell you, moving in 100+ degree weather is a workout. And even if you're just carrying boxes, I didn't wear my Fitbit, but I should have been wearing it. It was uncharged and I didn't feel like wearing it. But I'm telling you, I put some calories in, some work, some ergs for you engineers out there. I put some work in. Oh my gosh. I've been having trouble with my right wrist, and no jokes out there, fellas. No jokes. Having trouble with my right wrist because I tried to teach my kid how to do a pop-up flip from your back. And I jacked my wrist up, and it's just starting to heal. And then what do I have to move? I got to move. I gave it away early. What did I have to do? I had to move. Move to Arizona. Anyway, it's been an amazing thing. And I'll tell you something else. You ever driven a big truck? I'm not talking a pickup. I'm talking about a diesel where you have to put diesel fuel and DEF. You know what DEF is? Yeah, I don't either, but it's another type of fuel. It's an additive that you have to put into a diesel truck. And diesel trucks don't move as fast as your car, even if you got a crappy car, especially when it's got a full load. And I'm going to tell you, when you move from one state to the next state, you have to consider what you're willing to leave behind sometimes. Luckily for me, I have, the house, and it's getting renovated and all that. But it's been crazy. Crazy, I tell you. It's been crazy for you too. Anybody go see an Inconvenient sequel? Did you guys happen to go check out the Al Gore film? I didn't, and I don't plan on watching it. But I will tell you, what's funny about this? I forget the movie. The movie. Did you know the movie was going to be? I knew the movie was going to be a bomb. Okay, but it's the significance of why it's a bomb. It's telling you everything you need to hear about this whole thing of climate change and the farce of it all. The reason why this movie bombed is because it doesn't have presidential support. Al Gore essentially had the power of the federal government behind his first movie. And so, in Inconvenient Truth, I believe that was the first movie, they said it made nearly $50 million. Now, here's what I'll tell you. That's a box office loser. But Al Gore made 50. He didn't make 50 million, but he kind of did because he didn't have any big actors for a documentary that's pretty good. So he makes $50 million. He wins an Oscar for this 2006 Oscar for this fluff, and global climate change takes off on steroids, because so America goes, so the rest of the world goes. So Barack Obama, Al Gore, they're all feasting over this green energy, making a ton of money. This movie, okay, so just let me give my producer. So $50 million on An Inconvenient Truth, number one. The sequel, which was titled, what? An Inconvenient Sequel, Truth to Power. Truth to Power. Power, play on words like the power companies, the people that are holding you hostage with that black energy. But anyway, what do you think An Inconvenient Sequel made? Yeah, I ain't going to make y'all guess. It was $1 million. So 50 million, $1 million. Now, the movie may close out, let's say for the sake of discussion, it makes $5 million. But here's what's bad about this. This is the biggest thing. This is a catastrophe, right? Global climate change. We are supposed to be in fear for our lives. This is the Blair Witch Project, okay? Meets Jason, meets Alien, and the Predator. This is the worst thing. This is worse than war. It's worse than it all. And Al Gore makes his movie, and it makes $1 million. Folks, I cannot tell you how big of a disappointment this is. $1 million is a joke in Hollywood. That's a rounding error, as they say. Unbelievable. 15th spot at the box office. Have you ever, how far do you scroll down before you find a movie? Be honest. If I've looked at 6 movies, then I'm at the dollar theater. You know what I'm saying? You're already, well, maybe it's $1.50 now. I don't know what it is, but it used to be the dollar theater when I was growing up. But once I've looked through about the first 4 movies, I'm done. And he introduces this movie at a perfect time when people should be caring about it. Look, here's what I'm telling you. This is a sign that you're winning. An inconvenient truth is the inconvenient lie. It's the convenient lie. And it just goes to show you that without the government backing it, without all the liberal hoopla over it, etc., it cannot stand on its own. You're watching government go down the drain. Anyway, listen, I'm glad to be back. I'm tired. I ain't going to let that hold me back. Lots to talk about.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you're here. 844-551-8255 if you want to call the show. And I mentioned lots of things going on. I will be doing Fox News Radio sometime later this month, and I'll ask you guys to come over and check that out. So we'll give details on that in a bit, and you guys can hopefully join me over there for the days that I will be hosting that particular show. So here's what I want to talk about. And I'd wanted to talk about this story a while back only because I find it funny. But this college kid got suspended for tweeting his ex-girlfriend's apology letter a while back. And he used a red pen, to critique it, gave her a D-. This happened at the University of Central Florida. And anyway, they suspended this kid, who, by the way, I think is brilliant. He's done with her. He's like, okay, look, I'm going to try to help you in life. I'm going to critique your letter. Gives her a D-. But they ended up reinstating him. So that was a good thing. And here's what they wrote. His attorney says, I was really surprised and thankful for UCF taking the immediate action that they did. It's unfortunate that a lawyer was needed. That should be very concerning. But he got a lawyer. He's like, why are you at the university telling me what to do in my personal life? See, that's what people missed about this story. This had nothing to do with, the human interest part of it is what I'm getting. But the real story is, who is a college or university to tell this kid, you can't tweet your ex-girlfriend's letter or we'll suspend you? This is his future we're talking about. And I think you have to understand the bigger picture, that this is a kid who says, I got a letter from my girlfriend and I'm going to have a little fun with it on my personal time. Oh, by the way, I'll take an academic approach. And he red lines it, red marks it up pretty substantially. It was a funny, hysterical letter if you get a chance to see it. And a college comes over and says, hey, we saw your tweet about your girlfriend's letter and we're going to suspend you. See, college, they hold over your kids' heads. We put so much into it. I want you to think about the angst that this young man feels when he's having fun. He says, oh, yeah. First of all, the girl wants him back. She says, I screwed up. I didn't deserve you. I should have been better and all these other things, which I think is it's a turnabout thing. Because isn't it usually the guy doing that? I'm sorry, baby. But now it's this girl doing this. And he says, no, I don't want you back. But I will help you with a lesson. And I'm going to critique your letter. So hopefully at the next boyfriend, you'll have a better breakup letter, or begging back letter. I think there's more to this story, don't you? See, it seems innocent. It seems, well, Kevin, come on, he put the girl on Front Street. You know what? You can't be throwing shade at the girl like that. For you white people, that means, he's treating her bad. Yeah, he can. He can throw all the shade he wants. He can be very upset at this woman. Because in her letter, she's like, I was just awful. I was terrible. I was surprised you stay with me. But please, if you will take me back. And so he's like, nope, I won't. You've been musing and abusing me for too long. And I'm done with you. And see, I think there's a feminism thing here. I think the college said, we can't have this young white man too. Ooh, yeah, he makes it even worse, doesn't it? See, now I got y'all's attention in there. My producers are like, did you just say white boys? Yeah, white boys. Went after you guys. So they go after this kid because he is now the victim. You read the letter, she's awful. So the university decides, we'll get this young man. And that's what they did. They went after him. And because and as I was saying, our kids' futures rest in the hands of a few administrators who hold them hostage for a variety of reasons. You wonder why these college professors get away with pedophilia. It's not, most of these kids are old enough for the age of consent, but they're having these things held over their heads. This is not cool. Not cool at all. So this kid decides to sue, and immediately the college drops it. I wouldn't even have allowed them to drop it. I would have let them suspend me, then sued them. Because I'm telling you folks, this is nefarious. What looks like an innocent thing, like, oh, they figured it out, they it's the error of their ways, was nonsensical to begin with. They never should have involved themselves in his personal stuff. Now, I don't know what happened that this girl run to, he put my stuff out on Twitter. But why did she run to the college? What do they have to do with it? Shouldn't she go to Twitter? She wants to get an attorney and say he can't cease and desist on putting this out there. Not that she had a case. He could do what he wants. But I'm just saying, how did it end up at the college level? A tweet. A tweet of him correcting his girlfriend's paper is given to the authorities. And the authorities in this case are his college administrators. You get that? See, that's when you know that something's wrong here, that we put too much in an institution. The administrators are only supposed to judge this kid on his grades. Don't misunderstand me. He can't do a bunch of bad things out there, commit crimes. He can't go stealing from people. He can't rape women and all this. But what they're telling us is these young kids, these young men, and if you don't believe me, Google how men are being treated on college campuses, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So these young men are being treated like crap. And this is a perfect example. So I want you to connect the dots and ask yourself, how did this get to the level to where his career, his future was put in jeopardy because of a tweet? That's the bigger picture. That to me says more about this story than anything else. A kid having fun at the expense of a girl who tormented him in a relationship, and she admits it. And the college says, we're going to side with this young lady. However the information got back to them, I want you to consider yourself a chancellor of a university. And somebody walks in and says, hey, Kevin, we've got a student here who posted his girlfriend's apology level and corrected it. And I'd say, wow, let's keep that kid on the let's keep an eye out for him. He may be a great teacher one day if he's correcting her paper. But do you think I would, as a chancellor, go, oh, my goodness, well, we can't have him doing that. We must jump him. You got to teach him a lesson for doing. No, a chancellor in that university should have much better to do. But why are they doing it? That's the question. To me, it's a deeper question. You guys probably think, Kevin, you're crazy, man. I'm not crazy. I'm telling you, you think about it and you let me know. 844-551-8255 or kjradio.com. We got a lot coming up. Obamacare. Richard Blumenthal, you know who he is? We'll tell you in a bit. And there's new polling.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
We now take you live to the Senate floor, where Senator Chuck Schumer is delivering an impassioned speech regarding Republican revisions to Obamacare. Oh God, no. It hurts. It hurts. Wow, just amazing, incredible, absolutely riveting speech by Chuck Schumer. He outlined the official Democratic position on Trumpcare with elegance, poise, and emotion. Stay tuned after a word from our sponsors. We have more breaking news. Scientists have officially proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that all white people are racist. You are not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is CNN. McDaniel is with me now. And thank you for coming back here, and good morning to you as you travel in Denver, Colorado. How big of an issue is this when you consider health care and taxes and whatever else there is to come?
Well, it's very clear that the president's agenda is the American people's agenda. And I see it as I travel the country. I was in Texas last week, in Nevada, and this week in Colorado. And people are saying, why isn't Congress helping the president accomplish his agenda? We sent him a majority in the Senate and the House, and we want to see repeal and replace of Obamacare. We want to see tax reform, and we want to see Congress work with this president. And that is something I am hearing overwhelmingly as I travel the country.
You hear that from voters, but again, it's the lawmakers in Washington where you get in this bit of a rub. Eric Trump sounded off on that as well this week. Listen to what he said.
I want somebody to start fighting for him. Republicans are raising 7 times on a monthly basis what the DNC are. Like, why wouldn't they embrace that? Why wouldn't they carry out? My father has the voice of this country. The people of this country love him. Why wouldn't they get in line?
So if he's right, and go ahead and tell us if you agree or not, how big of an issue could this be?
Well, I agree with Eric. Our base loves the president. This was a change election. They sent a change agent to Washington, and Americans were saying, we need somebody who's going to go fight for us. We need somebody who's going to lobby for us. We don't have the special interests in Washington, and that's what they saw in President Trump. And he needs partners in that. I think the Senate and House are going to work with him. They need to. But President Trump's not giving up. And I think this health care situation where the president is saying we need to keep fighting and we need to keep getting back to the drawing table is a perfect example. Listen, California yesterday, Anthem announced that they're going to pull out of 16 of 19 markets in California, and premiums are going up. Why should Washington give up on health care relief when Americans are still hurting? And the president is showing that he's going to fight for them every step of the way.
What is his obligation toward them?
The president's already fulfilling his obligation. I mean, you look at unemployment numbers are down, consumer confidence is up, you've seen labor participation rate up, you've seen the Dow hit high numbers. They're seeing him as coming to Washington and championing him. My concern as party chair is if we can't get a Congress that accomplishes the things that we all ran on, repeal and replace of Obamacare and tax reform and infrastructure, if we can't push that agenda through, it's very hard to make the case in 2018 as to why we should be reelected. And
I agree. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Unbelievable. She's making an amazing case. Look, this is not just about Obamacare. This is about the economy in general. This is about, look, let me just go to a poll. CNN did a poll and said Trump is at 38% approval. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I know that's a lie. You know that's a lie. We've discussed polling enough to where we all understand where these numbers are coming from. And I know that there was something that came on that said, well, look at McConnell's approval at 17%. Look at Pelosi's approval, 30-something percent. And Schumer, lowest approval numbers for all of them. The numbers don't matter. First of all, their numbers are probably worse off than people are even saying, but Trump's are certainly better. But it doesn't matter. You have to use common sense. You have to start looking at all these issues one by one. Who's passionate about immigration, for example? The people that are anti-illegal immigration. Are you passionate? If that's your cause, you love Trump. If you're passionate about refugee resettlement, you love Trump. If you're passionate about not being embroiled in wars for no reason, and then when you get embroiled in them to win, you're for Trump. If you're passionate about growing the economy, you're for Trump. If you're passionate about capitalism. Now, what's the flip side? Is there any passion against him? Other than being against Trump, what passion can you share that can you say, I'm for illegal immigration? How many people do you believe in America are for illegal immigration? How many people do you believe in America are for refugee resettlement? You getting it? How many people in America do you think are for the weak foreign policy that we had for appeasement? One world, new world order, whatever you want to call it. How many people are for that? You see what I'm saying? They're never going to show you the flip side of an issue. I don't know what the polls are. I don't know what questions they ask, but I can tell you this. I don't know very many people who are for illegal immigration. I don't know very many people who are for raising taxes. Oh, they'll say it. Raise taxes on the rich. There aren't that many people who are for raising taxes. There aren't that many people who are for Obamacare. So the only thing, and for the record, that's why the Democrats are struggling with their message. Take any of those, give me something that galvanizes them. Let me ask the question this way. Okay. How many people do you know who are for smaller government? You starting to get it? Hey guys, we got an echo. I know we've moved, but we're gonna either have to fix this in post or something, because this is just, yeah, I can hear it. I know you're working hard in there. I'm not gonna give you any grief. As you guys know, we moved our studio, and so you're gonna have to deal with a few things here on the show. Anyway, let me get back to this. So the number of people that you'll talk to who are for limited government, who are for capitalism, who are for a strong military, who are for keeping America out of harm's way. That's America, man. And the left can't seize on that because they don't have anything that you can be for. Oh, we're for multiculturalism. Really? Well, we are multicultural. We've been successful at it. And what you're doing is doing something different. You're tinkering with multiculturalism, and it's destroying us. We are not for the multiculturalism that you've converted the one culture of America that absorbs all the other cultures. They don't beat us, folks, in any area. And they can't figure it out. And being honest with you, I don't even care. I don't care. Maybe you may care. Let's play that clip. There's I think this guy may have been a Democrat who voted for Trump, but he's a new Nebraska Trump voter. Let's get that clip.
Yep, he's laying the groundwork for the future for us, for the military, for our national security, and for employing people. And that's awfully important. People have got to have jobs so they feel comfortable, and then when they know the military is strong, they feel safe. They just want to make sure they have a paycheck and that nobody's threatening their life.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. So, see, that guy sums it up. Look, I don't know who he was. He's an ordinary-looking dude from Nebraska. And he's telling you, you know what people want? They want to live their lives unencumbered. They want to live their lives where politics can operate in the background and it's no longer in the foreground. I dare you to tell me that politics operates in the background of your life right now, because I will embarrass you. I'll show you where it is on your brain practically all the time. I remember a time, and most of you do, when politics was so secondary to your life. It was like, oh, geez, got to get the taxes ready. And that was it. That's all you cared about politically. Or you had to get your tags done. Or, it infused itself here and there. Nowadays, you would have to be practically a recluse to not have the government impact you. And you can't be a recluse, because the government's going to get you. They're going to get you in your property taxes, personal property taxes, registration of cars, fishing. If you want to be Kaczynski and live off the grid, you can't get a fishing license, a hunting license, own a gun, whatever. They are going to. There are places where they want to register ammo. I think you have to register ammunition when you buy it. Things like that. That's how obtrusive government has become. And they wonder why they cannot destroy Trump's base. Trump's no mystical, magical guy. He's just the right guy for the right time. And I think most people are starting to see this. Disregard these polls, folks. We got a lot to talk about when we come back. I'm going to play a host of clips I've been wanting to play since I left for break.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Democracy is on the ballot. To say you won't respect the results of the election, that is a direct threat to our democracy.
But for the fourth straight night, protests are happening across the country in cities big and small. Some protesters turning violent, attacking police. It's a sign.
So stand up, resist.
Justice is on the ballot. Secretary Clinton said there was nothing marked classified on her emails, either sent or received. Was that true?
That's not true.
Secretary Clinton said, I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. Was that true?
There was classified material emailed.
Secretary Clinton said she used just one device. Was that true?
She used multiple devices.
Secretary Clinton said all work-related emails were returned to the State Department. Was that true?
No, we found work-related emails, thousands.
You know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
I will consider it a personal insult, an insult to my legacy. And that's why I can say with confidence, there has never been a man or a woman, not me, not Bill, nobody, more qualified than Hillary Clinton to serve as president.
Victory, Donald J. Trump will become the 45th president of the United States, defeating Hillary Clinton.
I'm now back to being an activist citizen and part of the resistance.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here, part of the resistance himself, except I'm part of the resistance against the left. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. There's another little, you know what, let's play another Hillary Clinton, one that, quite frankly, Robert Mueller should be listening to if he's indeed going to investigate interference in elections and what have you.
I am already receiving messages from leaders. I'm having foreign leaders ask if they can endorse me to stop Donald Trump. I say, this is up to Americans. Thank you very much. But I get what you're saying and where you're coming from.
You're not going to tell us who?
Well, some have done it publicly, actually. The Italian prime minister, for example.
How about the ones that have done it privately?
No, Jake. We're holding that in reserve, too.
It's funny when I listen to the clips of Hillary Clinton and the smugness, the entitlement that you feel when you listen to this. Yeah, these foreign leaders, they're wanting me to be president, and, they're calling me. Oh, who are they? Who are they? Mrs. Clinton, or what do you go, Secretary Clinton? Who are they? Please do tell. Well, I can't divulge that. Well, there were some that were public. And she named some obscure guy, some obscure person. But what about the private ones? Was it Putin? Was it the Chinese? How do we know who is it? Why don't you tell us? Look, I'm not going to take you guys down the memory lane of why Hillary Clinton should be in prison, but you know that she should be. And I think it's satisfaction to some degree, just knowing she didn't get it. But is that enough? It isn't for me. I'm extremely mad at the left. And I should be. And you should be. You see, not only did they want to thwart us from getting the best candidate into office, They right now thwart him at every turn. They don't want to see Donald Trump successful, and you've heard me talk about it practically ad nauseum. I mean, can I talk about that enough? The idea that these people are so against progress, so against you getting everything you want out of life, that they're willing to thwart the man who wants to help you to get there. For no other reason than we lost and you're going to pay. So I liked going down this little bit of path. And let me explain why this is so important. I mean, besides the obvious. I want you to think about other places and the messes that they're in, and how leftism has allowed that to slip. These countries, England, France, and so on, how they've become hellholes, virtual hellholes. Why? Because leftists are so hell-bent on getting you to change who you are, what you believe about yourself. I was talking to somebody the other day. I don't remember who, but we were just kind of rapping about how do you get to where you get. And I go, man, it's so gradual that by the time you recognize it, it doesn't even look the same. And I said in the earlier part of the broadcast, I said, just ask yourself some simple questions. What do you stand for? And how could somebody be against that? How could somebody be against you saying, I want to help students, or, make sure that they're really learning and not just being passed ahead, because it doesn't help? How could you possibly be for dumbing down black people, for example? Kevin, that doesn't happen. Yes, it does. It happens. Look at Kevin, they only got to make, I'm talking to you now. They only have to score, 1085 to be the equivalent of a 1310 for an Asian. To be the equivalent of a 1310 for an Asian, I can score a lot less. And you want to convince me that I'm the same. So in other words, if we're working together and there are 1,000 bags of concrete that need to be moved by each of us, and the Asian moves 1,000 bags of concrete, and I move 800 bags of concrete, and you say that's an equivalent day's work. We've both done our task. See, I don't believe that. I'm going to hire the Asian every single time. But the left, they don't see it as moving concrete. For them, it's only theoretical. And by the way, concrete, it's a metaphor. Cement is what I meant to say. Bags of cement. But you get my point. See, when it's theoretical, Kevin, we're going to make you the equivalent of an Asian by raising the grade. And I go, whoo, thank you, Jesus. That means I can get into better schools. But if you make it moving, show me work. Show me some work, something physical that needs to come out of this. It becomes more dramatic. It becomes a true metaphor, if you will, for what's really happening here. I'm not doing as much work, and you don't expect it. You tell me, no problemo. It's okay, dude. When you know it's not. And you want me to believe that that's fair to me. But you convince me that it helps me. And the problem is, there are so many among black folks, leftists, who fall for this, who say, you know what? If I don't have to do as much work as that Chinese dude, no problem. Give it to me. And that self-indulgence on the front end costs you on the back end. And you know what's sad? It may not cost you in particular, but it's going to cost it's going to cost you in the long run. And it's certainly going to cost your people. And so when people say to me, Kevin, you're being an Uncle Tom by doing something, I'm like, man, you can talk to me all you want. I know it is quite the opposite what I'm being. I'm being absolutely an amazing representative of blacks, because when I say to them, don't you look at me as if I need your charity. I don't need your charity. I'm going to go toe to toe with you. And that's what I've taught my sons, and that's what I've, try to teach everybody. Just when I talk to white folks, I tell you guys as well, look, don't let your kids succumb to all these different things. Don't let your young boys believe that boys are stupid and, whatever. All these different trappings, those are just slow erosion of who your little boy is. Don't let your girl believe, kids can be whatever they choose to be, but make it realistic. These women, I can do anything a man can do. That's just a lie. And men that believe they can do everything a woman can do, that's a lie too. And you know what? It's okay that we can't do everything we're supposed to be able to do. But let me tell you something. Get outside of gender roles. Don't talk to me about what blacks can do and whites can do and Hispanics can do. Every country has an opportunity to flourish because of its people. And there are geniuses. There are geniuses in the bushes of Africa. In the bush. The bushes. Shaking the tree, ball. Shaking the tree. Now, there are geniuses in all walks of life. And there are people that, it cracks me up. They think that they're so smart. They think that they're these intelligentsia of the left. They believe that because a man chooses to be a goat herder, he can't possibly be smart. One of the smartest guys in the world worked as a bouncer. Look it up. One of the smartest guys in the world. IQ tested off the charts. He worked as a bouncer. But he was brilliant. I'll never forget an episode where I watched him get tested. We'll be back.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What I think that is better than anything else is that Trump has, as some of my guests have said, he's drove a truck through the store. And my metaphor is that he's taken the chessboard and thrown it up. That everything is such a mess right now that there is a new enthusiasm. There is fertile ground and all of that. And I think that's far more valuable in many ways than this policy or that policy or anything else.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. That man could not be more right. What Trump did has nothing to do with policy at this point, even though he's a rock star when it comes to policy. Welcome to the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255 if you want to contact the show. This was so true. When people tell me, they say things like, Kevin, the president doesn't set the, he's got no power. He can't do it. I'm like, you're crazy. The reason why you have Muslim infiltration in America, in all walks of life and in all forms of government is because of 8 years of Barack Obama. Don't tell me what the president can't do. The reason why you spent billions, if not trillions of dollars on green energy nonsense, and we're still trying to figure out all the dollars that went out, is because of Barack Obama. There's his policies, his ideas. He didn't have to enact them, but he got people changing their views on things. You changed your views on Muslims. One way or the other. You did. Most of us became more accepting. Look at the number of mosques that are built in America over the last 8 years versus in the last 9 years than in the previous 150 years before. Look at the way people view, I'll say, same-sex marriage. Now, you may say, oh, Kevin, we're progressive in how we... No, we're not. Marriage is what it's defined to be. Now, if you want to tell me Barack Obama made people more loving towards gays, I'll give you credit to that. Maybe that's the case. But he screwed up what our sensibility should be with respect to that. And that's not good. He screwed up what he defines as humanitarian in letting people into our country. Particularly when it comes to refugee resettlement. He did not care what you thought. He doesn't care what you think. And I could go on. He redefined the way you think about money, particularly the poor. Do I need to go on? Donald Trump is changing the way people view life in America. The idea of making America great again, putting America first, looking at agreements from the standpoint of your perspective, what the American public, the taxpaying people, the people who put him into power, That's completely novel and new. And it's novel and new over the last 10 years or 8 to 9 years over with Barack Obama, but it's novel and new over the last 50. Trust me. The idea of having a love of country and saying, hey, as much as I don't want other countries to fail, their success is not going to be because of our failure. And it's okay. I tell people, look, you have permission, Poland, to be the best you can be. China, be the best you can be. Russia, Cuba, whatever. But don't think that we're not going to go strive to be better than you. That is the American way. That is the American spirit. And it isn't demeaning. It's not if you want to make it demoralizing, fine. Look, the Poles are probably good at something that I don't know about. Don't know, don't care. If you wanted to be in the national spotlight, get super good at it and move forward. I remember the Chinese. I used to say, man, those Chinese are really good at gymnastics. I don't know what you're going to do with that particular skill set. But congratulations. If China wants to go, we dominate in gymnastics everywhere we go. Jamaica, dominating in track and field, getting a reputation for such. People go over now and recruit these kids, and hopefully these kids go back to Jamaica and make a difference. I haven't been in a while, but I had a friend of mine tell me that they've kind of cleaned it up. It used to be, super warlord driven. I mean, like there were guys that you couldn't go into certain areas. It's still bad, but not as bad. Maybe, around Kingston, but not as bad as it used to be because they're putting their foot down. But look, the point is, I now think of Jamaica as this place that you can go to. I used to go there, and go hang out and what have you. But it was a vacation place. And then it got ugly. It got to where it was like just a nasty city, anywhere. And always getting offered dope. I don't want to be offered dope every time I leave my area to go explore. How about you just offer me, a sense of Jamaica and who you are? It's not all about dope. You want some ganja, man? No, I don't want any stupid ganja. So I now think of Jamaicans as amazing runners. And the friend of mine I was talking to said, Kevin, the program we now have set up and people coming back to train these kids and things like this, people coming over to train them, he goes, it's going to put Jamaica on the map. And he's Jamaican. And I'm like, well, great, man. That's good to hear, because I certainly want that to be what Jamaica's noted for, and not what I experience sometimes over there. And it wasn't one of the worst places in the world. But it's like Ferguson, Missouri. It's completely different than what people think, but now it's got a stigma attached to it. That's not what I would want the world to think about Ferguson, the way Barack Obama left it. And I'll tell you this, I don't know how you feel. I don't want the world to think about what America represents by what Obama did. So when you tell me that somebody cannot make a difference as president, I say to you, you better wake up. Donald Trump can absolutely change the way people think about this country, change the way people believe in this country, and it's already showing up. It's showing up in the most amazing ways. And I got to tell you, I'm loving it. So you can change it. That is what we're going to be doing, and you have a big part in this. And I want to see you be a part of this. I want to see my listeners get in on this. I tell you all the time, it is not Trump's responsibility to do this. We talked earlier in the broadcast about polls, CNN. Oh, Donald Trump's polling this or that. Screw you and your polls. We know better. You still want to try to pretend to be news when you're fake news and tell us how to think because, oh, Donald Trump, nobody likes Donald Trump. That is a lie. Not only do people like Donald Trump, they understand that he is not ruling with ego, and he is absolutely doing the things that we've asked him to do. They're not ask him to do. We've demanded that he do. And they're mad because he's doing it. And they have to make you feel little by making it appear as though Donald Trump is a terrible guy. Oh, look at his ratings. It's all a lie, folks. It's a ruse. And we'll prove it yet again in another hour of the Kevin Jackson Show.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What I think that is better than anything else is that Trump has, as some of my guests have said, he's drove a truck through the store. And my metaphor is that he's taken the chessboard and thrown it up. That everything is such a mess right now that there is a new enthusiasm. There is fertile ground and all of that. And I think that's far more valuable in many ways than this policy or that policy or anything else.
Yeah, so true. And in a way, your version of a mess might be that somebody just got fired after only 11 days in a job, or maybe your version of a mess is that someone else had to leave and someone leaked and someone was nasty and someone said rude words. But for me, coming from the UK and London, you know, a mess for us is a country that is not going to enforce Brexit that we voted for, 52% of us voted for. We may not ever see that. And mess for me is in 24 hours since I left the UK, there were 4 stabbings, 2 acid attacks and a riot. And then, of course, we've come off the back of a summer where we've been run down by trucks, blown up on bridges and stabbed with hunting knives when we're out trying to have a meal with our families. So your version of a mess in terms of a political system and organised chaos is quite different to my reference of a mess. Londonistan is a mess.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I meant to play that entire clip last segment when I was talking about why you need Trump and who sets the pace for what's going to happen going into the future. And I'm telling you right now, had we had another 4 years of or 8 years of Barack Obama's policies or whatever, you would see America. It would be called Americanistan or something like that, because we would be overrun with Muslim terrorists. The pace to get set by your leader is very important. I'm not going to litigate it, but it's just a fact. Go listen to the first segment, because I don't know if I can give me much more clearer than that. That was K.T. Hopkins from London. She's explaining the reason why London is struggling, the reason why it's having the problems that it's having is because it's a lack of leadership. It's a lack of I don't know what I would call it moral authority that a leader feels that he or she can exert in a situation where London is being overrun. I cannot tell you the number of friends that I have that have been to London, been to the UK, that say, Kevin, we're not going to recognize this place in 10 years. And I agree with them 100%. You won't know who they are. What does London represent? Calls to prayer? I don't even want to go. I told you guys I was in Paris not long ago, and it was like, I didn't even have the want to go out and experience Paris the way most people do anymore. Saw a few people out, taking pictures. I only went out one day. I was there for 4 days. I went out one day. That's it. Didn't go party. Didn't go sample all the food and get into the French culture. And I speak French, and I still didn't want to do it. It was like, psst. Till my son came in with his fiance, it was like, I don't even care. And I spent the day with them. But let me just tell you, Trump is doing an amazing job. I want to play a clip from the RNC chair, Ronna McDaniel, on Trump's performance, because we're going to make sure that and for the record, I've been on the road for quite a few days, just getting settled in Arizona, and you've heard a lot of these different things, but you haven't heard my take on it. So I want you to understand that even though some of this may be things that we've talked about, the meaning behind this stuff and the conversations I had as I traveled across the country in order to make this move are the things I want to relate to you. Anyway, here's Ronna McDaniel. I caught this when I got settled in, and I couldn't agree with her more.
The president's already fulfilling his obligation. I mean, you look at unemployment numbers are down, consumer confidence is up, you've seen labor participation rate up, you've seen the Dow hit high numbers. They're seeing him as coming to Washington and championing him. My concern as party chair is if we can't get a Congress that accomplishes the things that we all ran on, repeal and replace of Obamacare and tax reform and infrastructure, if we can't push that agenda through, it's very hard to make the case in 2018 as to why we should be reelected. And I'm hearing that across the country as I travel.
I know you're reflecting what the voters are saying. I guess my question was more directed toward the West Wing and what their obligation is toward lawmakers to push the agenda that you're just describing here forward. Now, Eric Trump mentioned money. I saw a number here, $75 million raised in the first 6 months this year, which doubles the amount the DNC had raised at the same point during President Obama's first 6 months in office. That's pretty extraordinary. That tells you the small donors are listening to this commander-in-chief.
Our base is rallied around the president, and the president's supporting the RNC. He does a lot of our fundraising emails, and we see it through our small dollar donations. And they are saying, Washington, support this president and get things done.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. There was Ronna McDaniel, the RNC chair, talking about Donald Trump and his ability to change things. Look, she touched on the donations. Donald Trump did something practically unheard of when he ran for, and part of it when he ran for president, and part of it had to do with the base that supported him. And you guys, you know who you are. You donated in the millions and millions of dollars. And it was so fascinating to watch because I know a lot about politics in that respect. And these people, you guys stepped up, and I'm talking about these $5, $10, $20 donations. And Trump said, I'm going to finance it myself. But there came a point where he says, no, I got to figure out if I have this groundswell. And you came through. And Hillary Clinton had all the big money. Sanders had a little money. But then he started raising big money. Trump raised little money. Right now, I'm talking about small dollar donations, not a little bit, but small dollar donations. Then you fast forward to now. His 2020 campaign is already millions of dollars ahead of the left. Then you compound what he's doing for the RNC. These are people not supporting him, and he's still raising money for them. I don't have the numbers. We talked about it when I did a broadcast not too long ago, and I gave you some numbers. But at least 3 to 1, the Republicans are outraising Democrats. And here's the issue. There's not like the Democrats have some magic formula inside, like, oh, we're going to nominate this person and our numbers are going to kick up. No message, no person to stick in there. There's not a person that they can put up against Trump that will come anywhere close to raising the money that Trump can raise. Now, I want you to fast forward to 2018, where you've got a Trump media juggernaut. He doesn't care what they do in the media. He's going to crush them. Then you look at the donations and where that money can go. Then you look at the effectiveness of his policies, despite what these guys are doing. Look at their poll numbers and see how well the Democrats are polling. I'm talking about individually, as a group, Congress, it doesn't matter. And you show me where we have a potential to lose in 2018. I'm not jumping the gun, and I'm not telling you guys don't be vigilant, and don't rest on your laurels. But what I'm telling you is we have put ourselves in the best shape, and the only fight we have right now is internal with ourselves, with these rhinos. Don't worry about the left. They're going to implode themselves. Put your energy in fighting these leftists that are going against these Republican leftists that are going against Donald Trump.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here for the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. I want to, we should probably do this daily. I should go through my Twitter feed and just let you guys see what people are talking about. And one of the most profound things that was said, and it's not that profound. It's pretty straightforward. But one of the things that came in my Twitter feed was a woman who said, "Hey, why don't we mandate that all government employees must transfer to Obamacare? Period. If it's the law of the land, who better to have it than the government employees?" That's what, 1 million employees, 1.2 million. If government employees had to have Obamacare, you could be guaranteed they'd be screaming at the top of their lungs. And let me tell you why. The government employs black people overwhelmingly. In fact, it's practically reverse discrimination at the rate that the government employs black folks. And to force them to have to get that crappy insurance and have to go through all the things that we have to go through would drive them nuts. When I say we, I'm saying the people that are against it, not we white folks, because I ain't white, I'm black. Because there are black people going, see, I was a slip of the tongue. No, I was not putting myself into the category of white. I was putting myself into the category of I hate Obamacare. And there's a reason why I hate Obamacare. I don't hate it because we put Obama's name on it. I hate it because it cost me $30,000 and has brought me nothing. But that was one of the things that came out as in the thing. Glenn Campbell died the other day. Did you guys hear about this? That was in my Twitter feed. I made some notes. I got to tell you, Glenn Campbell had one of the best voices. Forget the kind of music he sang. He had one of the best voices, kind of the Garth Brooks of his time. And I remember the song Lineman for the County. You remember that? I was a lineman for the county. Something like that. Beautiful song. And I don't even remember the lyrics for most of them or anything like that. I just remember him having a really smooth voice. And supposedly he was an amazing guitarist. And I was thinking about Glenn Campbell and the idea that he ended up with Alzheimer's. And I want you to just think for a second, you're a person who's got songs that you sing, you've written, and history of, and every time I hear a Glenn Campbell song, even I could say the same thing with, what's his name that died in a plane crash, saying, "Country road, take me home, John Denver, to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama." Anyway, but Glenn Campbell, when I hear these guys sing, it isn't that because I can tell you right now, I never thoroughly enjoyed their music per se. Glenn Campbell I did kind of, because I grew up listening to country, and Glenn Campbell was one of the guys that I listened to, but it was by force. By the time, and I could say the same thing about John Denver, but he was more folk, I guess, and I was a grown-up by the time I either could have listened to him or not. And as it turned out, one of my buddies was his guitar player for years, Steve Weisberg. And so I got to know, a lot of the music through Steve. But anyway, here's my point. With Glenn, when I hear either one of those guys, it gives me this feeling, this love of America. The open spaces, and having been a kid who grew up in the country, I can so appreciate him. Anyway, Glenn Campbell died, and it's very sad that occurred. But hey, we all got to go. But I think the saddest thing for me is the fact that Glenn Campbell doesn't even remember his life. Alzheimer's is such a cruel disease. And every time I hear somebody diagnosed with it, it's a death of sorts when they're not even dying. By the time that you have to deal with it as a human, as a family member dealing with them. I can't even imagine I can't imagine, because I had an aunt and an uncle that had Alzheimer's. And interestingly, when they would remember enough to know me, so it wasn't like I lost them. Any memories going forward were gone, but the past they remembered. So I didn't experience Alzheimer's the way some people do. If you have a relative going through that, or if you're going through it yourself, you have my deepest sympathy, because that's what we want to remember. I mean, it was funny. I was thinking about life and death, and I lose a friend. And I take it hard. I take life and death hard. And my relatives would die, and I'd just be a sobbing mess at funerals. And my brother, for example, was very strong at funerals. And I tell the story often about how strong he was when my great grandfather died. I was a wreck. I mean, just trying not to cry, but crying, my eyes bloodshot red. And I mean, I'm one of the strongest, toughest guys in the family, and I just was like a little baby. And I don't mind telling you that. But here's the thing. Selfishly, it was because my grandfather, my great-grandfather, Papa, knew so much about me. And he would remind me of who I was. And I was going to miss that there was somebody that would prop me up and make me feel good and give me that strength. Of course, I learned that, they're gone, and you still feel that way about them. But, to have my grandfather, for example, who passed away years ago at the age of roughly 92, when he would talk of me to other people, it was with an esteem that whoa, that's my grandfather telling people about me. And it became selfish to want to hold on to these people. Like, hey, they know all your stories, Kevin. How sad is that? I mean, talk about having some growing up to do. And now don't misunderstand me. When I cry at funerals, I cry at other people's funerals. I don't even know these people. So I know there's a thing inside of me that just feels that sympathy for the family and all that. But I'm just being honest with you. There's another side of me that just misses the fact that here's a person that knew me. One of my best friends, Mike, died at the early age of 48 years old. And I just remember feeling such a sense of loss of a person who knew me we knew each other for 28 years. And when he died, up to the point that he died. And I was like, Mike knows all my stories. He knows my history. This is a guy that couldn't believe I would even be his friend. And I'm telling you guys this because I'm trying to, I'm being honest with you that I did have this. There's a part of me that was like, Mike knows that I was a really good student. I have people say all the time, oh, you probably weren't this or that. And I was like, well, I don't exactly have it on video, but I was that. I was that athlete. I was that student. I was that guy that did the right thing, and tried to do the right thing in most of the things and live this life that I had been taught. And the people that know that and are now gone. So what do you do? And I know that was a feeling I had when I learned that Mike had died. I mean, there was other things too, as I mentioned before. But it was a selfish reason. And so I finally come to the conclusion, wait a minute. You have the rest of your life to live and more people to remind, people about yourself. And by the way, Kevin Jackson, while you're lecturing yourself here, buddy, it's not about you. Who cares that those memories are gone? I don't know, but when I think about the time frame of some of these people that we lose, and I think about those moments in life that, from where I grew up on this cattle ranch, this little poor kid, learning all about life in the country and having experienced what I think is just a childhood every kid should be required to go through, because they would think differently about themselves. They would never have a feeling of being a loser or I can't accomplish anything. There was nothing that I couldn't do. I was a 10-year-old kid running around a 25,000-acre ranch that was loaded with things that could kill me, and I survived it. it's crazy. And I got through it in the most unconventional way because, I'm growing up listening to Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson and, people like that. I wasn't on the street, learning the new dances and the new slang and, and all that. I got little snippets of other culture America. I knew it existed. When we'd go on the weekends to visit family, I'd certainly be a part of it. And you're probably wondering, Kevin, what in the world, and when are you going to get back to politics? This is politics. It's that thing that why are you holding on to this vestige of something, right? Glenn Campbell died. Yeah, Glenn Campbell died. That's where this segment started. Yeah, it sure did. And it's a reminder to a lot of people of a time of them growing up and wondering, what was life going to bring? And now it's changed. Country music has changed. I remember when country music, it was all about, everybody in country music practically was somebody that you could emulate. I mean, they were, don't misunderstand me, rabble rousers. Who was it? I think wasn't Jennings in prison? And a couple other guys. Willie Nelson's a dope smoker. I mean, I'm not saying they're all great guys, but there was a time when it reminded you of Americana. Country music doesn't do that for me anymore. Anyway, hey, Glenn Campbell's gone. We're going to miss him. I think most people will. And the tragedy that he suffered with Alzheimer's, I wish on no person. We'll be back.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. What do you think is going to happen with North Korea? You guys got any thoughts? I mean, I got to tell you, I'm listening to the saber rattling of Kim Jong-un and all these different threats that he makes to the United States. And I have to tell you, that this is the one area where I think Donald Trump is going to say enough is enough. I talk about him not being an interventionist. I don't think he would interfere with North Korea in any way, not troop-wise and what have you. I think he'd say, I don't care. But I think when you start to make threats against us, I think Donald Trump's going to say, all right, you've been asking for a battle. You've been asking for us to maybe potentially end the Korean War. So how about we start now? We got troops right along, what is it, the 54th parallel or something like that? Wherever they are. We've got troops amassed over there. So let's just go ahead and escalate and see what happens. I personally don't think the North Koreans are formidable. What do they do? Where do you practice? And I think that what makes you formidable, and I'm not Alan West talking here. I didn't study war and all these other things. But I do know this. The backing that you have helps a lot. If you're a fighter and you absolutely have the people behind you who are ready to go to battle, you can't go wrong. That's what the Roman legions had. They had Maximus, and he had that, his what do they call it, the I don't know. They had the special soldiers that fought right alongside him, and then he had a group of people who said, I'd rather be fighting with these guys than fighting on the losing team, and they'd go and just annihilate people. And I believe that Donald Trump is going to reach a point with North Korea where it's no longer about words, and I'm sensing that time is near. North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know whether he's enlisted China from what, I know that they voted 15-0 while I was traveling to issue sanctions against North Korea. And they've already struggled in that regard. But to get Russia and China to join in on that is pretty interesting, don't you think? See, I don't know. I wish I could tell you I knew enough about the global strategy in this. The only thing I can potentially tell you is that Trump said to them that if you allow North Korea to continue down this path, then we're going to have to retaliate with our own, with our economy. You guys have heard me say this. But we are going to strike them, and it's going to put you in a precarious situation because you're not going to be able to protect them. So you need to be sending out a sign now that says, we're not going to be your big brother. Because normally, neither one of these guys would side with us. I mean, I haven't looked back at the UN record on sanctions against North Korea. Maybe somebody has. If you have, give me a call. Let me know. 844-551-8255. Or send me a note because I'd love to hear about it. But I don't know that we've ever gotten anything against them, especially 15-0. So it tells me that something diplomatically is happening that's pretty unusual. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about Richard Blumenthal, who is Donald Trump called him a phony Vietnam con or something like that. What do you call him? Phony Vietnam con, because he still wanted to look into the Russia probe. And I got to tell you, let me ask you this. I don't want to tell you anything. I want to ask you this. Russia, getting bigger, getting smaller in your eyes. We heard that Mueller was going to be doing some grand juries and all this stuff. Is it bigger in your eyes, smaller in your eyes? I'll put it to you this way. It's smaller in my eyes. I don't know how you guys feel. It's smaller to me. And I'm curious to see where this thing shakes out. But here's the funny thing. Donald Trump, don't tweet. Stop the tweeting. He tweeted that Richard Blumenthal is a Vietnam con. Now, what happens with the left, and this is an interesting thing, and I'm telling this in the context of the same thing I was talking about earlier with North Korea. Donald Trump is masterful in getting things done in a strange way. And I'll be honest with you, very unorthodox, maybe not the way I or many other people would do it, but he gets it done. And here's Blumenthal. Remember, Blumenthal got discovered. They found out he was lying about his record. So he comes out and he's like, I potentially did, kind of fudge the things that I did in Vietnam and blah, 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 blah. And it blew over. It was done. And I don't know how it works in D.C. Somebody covered his butt and he owed some favors or whatever. So he got to keep his job. And the everything stayed as it should, or as it has been in D.C. But then comes Donald Trump. And I know that there are people that have black book on these guys, and that's the way you're sitting there going, why did that guy vote for that? Like McCain. Why did he vote for, not vote for overturning Obamacare when that's what he said he wanted? And, he's brain damaged, so we may not be able to say anything about why he did it. But I'm saying a lot of times you don't know what the deal is with these people. Well, Blumenthal's held this little secret. Somebody went after him, probably leaked that secret, and he fought his way through it because somebody got him to do something that he didn't want to do, or maybe he was willing to do, but they finally said, okay, we got you over, over a barrel. So maybe he did something. I don't know. But what he didn't expect, and what I know the left doesn't expect, is Donald Trump taking that a bit of information and saying, oh, you think you got away with that? And now bringing it back up. Now, again, I haven't had time. I've been a little busy. I haven't had time to look at when's Blumenthal coming up again. Is he one of the senators who's coming up to vote in 2 years? In 2018? If he is, maybe this is a warning shot. You get where I'm going? When Donald Trump now puts you in the spotlight, you're in big trouble. Now, did a campaign for senator reach out to the Trump people and say, hey, don't forget this guy's a phony. He's a fraud, Donald Trump. And Trump goes, you're right. Starts tweeting. But when I came off the road and started looking at my feed, Twitter feeds and things like this, I'm watching Donald Trump call this guy out. And between us girls, I had kind of forgotten about the story. And then it hit me. That was right. This dude is he's a liar. He's a John Kerry. He's been swift boated. And suddenly it's back into the mainstream. And let me tell you what happened. You guys tell me what happens. Donald Trump talked about Border Patrol, building the wall. The wall is about to it's getting funded. It's getting built in certain ways. Metaphorically, that wall is being built. You've got people not coming into the country, and we can go into the details or we can just hit the surface. But the fact of the matter is the wall is being built. The number of people crossing over has gone way down. The number of people willing to hire illegals has gone way down. All the things impacting that have gone way down. Now, I don't know what's going on with refugee resettlement. I know Trump's hands were tied in some legislation. But I guarantee you, he's going to stop Muslims from invading this country and setting up terror cells. And he's going to be exporting these guys. So that's what's happening. He talked about trade with China and various other countries. And those trade imbalances are being looked at and being put back into their right course as we speak. Or as I speak and as you listen. All right? So now all I'm telling you guys is when Donald Trump is tweeting something, you better take notice. And if Richard Blumenthal, the senator, believes he can just ignore this, he's wrong. And my bet is, now I'm going to go out on a record here. I don't even know I'm telling you right now, I haven't Googled this man. I don't know who he's running, when he's running. My prediction is he's running in 2018. And if anybody can verify that, let me know. And I'll look it up and I'll let you guys know tomorrow if I was right or if I was wrong. But if he is, Donald Trump's putting him on Front Street. And here's the bigger picture. This is what I'm getting to. He can do this to anybody. This is a shot across the bow. Your job now, America, is to make sure, if indeed I'm correct, that Blumenthal is running in 2018, he's one of the senators up, and Donald Trump goes after him, and Donald Trump can bring him down with a quote that says he's a con man, bring it back, something that Blumenthal thought he was done with. If Trump can bring that back, everybody in D.C. is susceptible. See, that's the deal. This isn't some run-of-the-mill tweet that you think is this innocuous thing. There is a strategy behind this tweet, is my prediction. And it isn't Donald Trump's got a lot of senators. He's got the Senate. But if he says, I'm going to win a seat from a Democrat by tweeting about it, and then I'm going to go after you other guys that think you're invincible because I'm going to learn your dirt, and it's not going to take me very long. That's what I believe is happening.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here to Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com is where you can reach us, or you can call the show at 844-551-8255. Before I get into the actual comments I want to make this hour, I want to talk about, because I'm going to talk about Google and this guy who got fired, Damore, whatever. Anyways, James something, former Google guy, got fired because he talked about the diversity within Google and how it's run effectively in a Nazi-like fashion, Gestapo, and how that transcends just normal business practices, but is part of a formative strategy of the left to make people, you're only going to get certain information. And this is why I keep telling you guys, go to Tea Party Community, get signed up, teapartycommunity.com, get signed up, and become active in this. Look, you watched what happened over the past few decades with media. What do you think social media is doing? Ask yourself the level of attention your grandchild or your child spends with their phone. You know what I mean? Just ask them. Look at them, observe them. And you'll go, holy Toledo. You know, it pales in comparison to how much news they ever watched. And you know what Google owns? They own YouTube. They are trying right now to get more content into YouTube than you can imagine. And then think about the Google algorithms that are going to send you over to their stuff. And what these guys are all buying. What's Facebook doing? These kids, these millennials, are going to have more influence over you and your kids and your grandkids than anything. And you're letting them do it. So all I'm saying, guys, is we have to wake up to this stuff. And we better do it quickly, or it's going to be too late. So, you know, let's just jump into this Google stuff. Breitbart did an interview with a guy. He wrote this manifesto. And the interview series they entitled Rebels of Google. And it says, one employee who spoke to us in fear for losing their job if their identities were made public, we have provided aliases in place of their real names. In the first interview of the series, a Google employee named Hal spoke of witch hunts and intolerance at Google, as well as dysfunction at the company upper echelons. It says the second interview was with a guy named Emmett. Spent several years at the company. They asked him if he could corroborate allegations that employees within Google's ad sales department have expressed a great deal of sympathy with Sleeping Giants campaigns, which had sought to deny ad revenue to alternative media sites, including Breitbart. Now, see, that's what they do. We've all figured out how to monetize through their system, and they don't like it. I'm talking about conservatives. We're figuring out a way to make a little coin here and there, fractional pennies, but they add up. And it used to be we were minuscule. We were lucky to get 1 million hits a month. We have people that drive more media than CNN through their website. Breitbart's one of them. One of the biggest media outlets on the planet now is Breitbart. More traffic in some cases than even Fox News, people like this. They're a factor. The Daily Caller, theblacksphere.net. No, I'm kidding. That's my site. I wish it was that big. But we do okay. We get 2 to 4 million people a month on our website. I'd love to make it 20. But the top, I'd say the top 50 media outlets in the country, at least 30 of them are dominated by conservatives. On the left, you've got Huffington. I mean, don't misunderstand me. Leftists they'll read their stuff. But we have people now that get 200 million hits a month. That is a media engine. People you don't even really know are out there. You certainly wouldn't know who the owners are. Conservative sites. I've named a few. So we now are in the mix. We have a stake in it. And those fractional pennies mean money. And if you're advertising Lexus or, think of it as the guys who the A players like the Michael Jordans, he gets the nice car deal. He gets the nice Gatorade deal, the Nike shoes, etc. And then there are guys that advertise the local car dealership. Well, Google determines who's going to get what. And there's been a cabal within Google that if you are listed as a conservative site, they give you the nastiest, raunchiest stuff you can imagine to advertise. So you get foot fungus. I'm not even kidding, guys. You get online dating sites from, Asians and, Russians, and you get, diseases. It's nasty stuff. But if you're a liberal site, then you get the Lexuses and the the Tide cleaners and all that. You get all the things that people use day to day. For us, we get the crap. And so what happened was, I'm telling you the truth, we went away from Google AdSense and went to Facebook's instant articles because it delivers faster and the pay rates were better. But here's what I warn people. It's going to shrink because Zuckerberg and Sergey Brin of Google are going to be in cahoots, and they're going to squeeze us out as well. That's the way it works, folks. And we have to be made aware of this. And because they want to drive as many of us out of business as they possibly can. And I'm telling folks, we have to start controlling our own stuff. We have to start controlling our own ad networks and a host of other things. Or else they're going to take over. Now, you say, Kevin, come on, we're now fighting back. Yeah, we're fighting back. But you can't fight back the fact that somebody's got that phone, that smartphone in their hand at all times, and they're watching stuff, and Google and Facebook can determine what's being seen. And what's going on right now in every one of these organizations is the sissifying, the political correcting of this country to the point where you can say nothing against Muslims. You can say nothing against women. You can say, and I don't have anything against women, but if you do something wrong with women, I'm sure going to tell you about it. But we can't say anything. They've got, anti-defamation speech now all across the land, folks, in countries all over this world that can get you in prison for saying, look, I don't think Islam is a religion of peace. Throw them in jail. That's how crazy it's become. So anyway, we'll cover one more segment on this because you need to know how it works and why I'm asking you to go over to teapartycommunity.com.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. Talking about Google, and it's a behemoth, folks. It's an engine, a machine that most people have no clue about. They hear Google and it's just an innocuous word. They understand it's a search engine and all that. Yeah, Google it. Remember when we would say Xerox it because that was what you did to make a copy? Yeah, Xerox it. Now you say Google it. You don't say search for it. You don't say Bing it. You say Google it. Google has become the authority in searching for things. And I want you to understand what that means. If somebody says, I Googled it, it means I now have the high road on you because I know exactly what it is. I've verified this information. But have they? And the answer is no, they have not. It's just one search engine. And we've proven during the election cycle, we proved that Hillary Clinton is and they'd say, Secretary of State, wonderful mother, wonderful woman, runs a great organization. Hillary Clinton, well, it would never say Hillary Clinton is a crook, a scoundrel, and whatever. That's what Google can do. Google can frame the discussion that it wants to have. It can influence everything that you want. It can tell you you're going to have to search so far back to find information, you'll never find it, or it can completely remove it. That's how good Google is. They can scrub the internet. They could make Barack Obama look like a rock star. And they did. They're all part of this cabal. And that's what's going on, and we still support it. You use the term Google quite often, don't you? Be honest. I ain't getting after you, but you do. I do. I use the search engine all the time. I don't want to, but I'm looking for articles. I'm not looking for necessarily bad stuff. I'm looking for the truth. But there are times where, you know what, I need to have another search engine that'll go find the stuff I'm looking for. There was a speech that Obama gave where he talked about the presidency. He was going to have to give up his life. And for the life of me, I cannot find that on Google or YouTube. And I've seen it. You can't find it. I searched on Barack Obama. Michelle Obama was with him in the interview. I've searched in every way I know how. I've talked to librarians and said, is there something I'm missing? And we can't locate it. So Google can control that. They can determine, no, you're never going to see that again. Not through us. Now, somebody else may have it. If you do, give a brother a shout, because I'd love to have that. So they control you. They control the flow of money through AdSense. AdSense is a big piece of how we get paid. People say to me all the time, Kevin, we hate all this stuff going on with your website. And I go, well, then pay me. I'd love to stop using Google. But we get these fractional pennies on AdSense. And as I mentioned earlier, we now have the same relationship with Facebook because they're now dominating that. You have to render your news in a certain format, and then Facebook will pay you for articles at a certain CPM rate, and those rates are starting to drop. I told my buddies, Kevin, they're getting $8 CPMs, which is a payment amount per whatever number of clicks, and that's dropped down to $6. It's dropped down to $5. It's dropped down to $4. Now ours are in the $3 range. So in a short span of a year, you're getting half of what you used to get. Now you could say, oh, well, Kevin, it's oversaturated or whatever. No, it isn't. It's Zuckerberg saying, I control it. I can pay you whatever I want. Google can do the same thing. Guys, we're talking about fractional pennies that are moving billions and trillions of dollars of merchandise. And Google and Facebook and people like them are making the bulk of the money. These technologists are running your lives, and they're and worse than that, as they get enriched, their crazy, lame brain millennial ideas come into fruition. And by the way, I'm not talking about just millennials. I'm only using Sergey Brin and Zuckerberg, but it's the lame brain billionaires who get so much money they lose their minds, and that's what's happening. So James Damore wrote a manifesto within Google defending his viewpoint of diversity. It was a fact-based approach to this alleged gender gap in tech. And so he gets fired because he's going, what gender gap are you talking about? There's no gender gap in tech. If there's a gender gap, I would say, okay, there's a gender gap in nursing. Why aren't there more nurses, male nurses? There are some now. I don't know how many. But here's what I will tell you. Nursing is a great career. Pays the bills. Beautiful. I've got, 4 or 5 friends who are nurses. A couple of them guys. Most of them are females. It was a female-dominated business. And doctors were a male-dominated. I know a lot more female doctors. Okay? So what happens is guys went, you know what? Nursing's not just a female career. I'll become a nurse. I know Meet the Fockers made it a joke to have, the Gaylord Fokker as a nurse in the movie, played by Ben, what's his face? But the point of the matter is men did become nurses. They didn't overtake the career, but they started doing the career. Women became doctors. Women started becoming more, participating more in STEM programs, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we started having more of them. But it isn't anybody keeping their thumb down. No, women weren't saying, well, yeah, why you want to be a nurse, Mr. Man? They said, oh, you're qualified. We need nurses. Boom, get in it, get it done. That's how things change. And so this idea, there are gender gaps all over. There are race gaps all over. Grambling University is overrun with black students. And it has a handful of whites. And you could make the case, well, Kevin, we want the black students to have their own experience. Okay, then you have to ban all whites. Because if you don't, then aren't you being discriminatory? If you're 98% black and 2% other, aren't you discriminatory? If a school's 98% white, their people are up in arms. I've asked this question of countries. You have countries all over the world who are practically monolithically African, monolithically some South American, or whatever. I'm talking about 90 to 98% one ethnic group, and nobody complains. But let Sweden not have the requisite number of black folks or Hispanics or whatever, and people are up in arms. And in America, it's to the point of ridiculous. And so, you know what Sergey Brin of Google says when he fired James Damore? Stop talking about things where we're setting the narrative. We're setting the narrative that women are treated unfairly in this country. You'd be hard pressed to find me a woman that can sit here and argue with me about what she's missed out on because she's a woman. And unless she wants to tell me I didn't get a track scholarship on the boys track team at my college or university, I'd say, well, you did miss out on that. But it was because of your ability. Any more than a person who's artistic and couldn't work their way out of a bubble if you gave them pie. That's an engineering joke. But you want them to become the next Einstein.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
We're worried for the markets once again, as you and I have repeated so many times, and we gather on days like this.
But it's not.
It's not, right? So could the markets live with not seeing it this year, tax cuts this year?
Well, I try and look at things through a different lens. I look at the positive price performance, not the politics of what's happening. So let's look at how far the markets have come. And, that's a cherry on top if we can get some of these legislative items done. But we're this far along, regardless of what's happened and the nonsense that's happened out of Washington, D.C. Let's remember this first 6 months, we talked at 20K, now we're at 22K in the Dow. That's 10% in 6 months. But if you compare that to the previous administration, they moved 20% in the first 6 months.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. Here's the Kevin Jackson Show. So I just wanted to stop that clip. That's a Cavuto questioning somebody on what's been going on here. And I want you to understand what just happened in that bit of the exchange. So Cavuto says you got to look at this stock market. You got to look at what's going on here. And, there's a reason to be exuberant. And the guy goes, yeah, it's moved 10% in the first 6 months, the market. But remember, with Obama, it moved 20%. And what he's trying to tell you is that Obama was doing great. The economy was moving forward, etc. What he's not telling you is two things. One, Obama was printing money to move the stock market. Number one. And number two, the market was much lower. Remember when George Bush gave the helm over to that, the stock market had crashed. It was down into I don't remember the number, but it was like 7,000. It had gone so far down. It was, I don't remember it. Somebody can remember the number. So to gain 20% in the first 6 months then was no big deal. When Donald Trump took over, the market was at 20,000. Now it's at 22. That is a huge differential to gain 10% on a market that's that big. And when I keep coming back to, and I want everybody to understand this, is Donald Trump's doing this while fending off the left. So what else has happened? See, and this is why I keep telling you, it doesn't matter what they do. What matters are results. Here's the next thing that's happened. Donald Trump, they come out and they say, we estimate there's going to be 183,000 new jobs. Now that's 175,000 is what it takes for equilibrium. So he would be creating jobs. And then the real report comes out and they say, guess what? We created 209,000 jobs. So we're 26,000 over what we thought we were going to create. Now let me tell you what's going to happen next. That was the guess. 183. That was we predict. These are the actuals at 209. They'll come back in a week or two and they'll say it was better than we thought. It was 239. And that's what's going to happen, because that's what's been happening with Trump all along. And meanwhile, the left want to convince you that he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. Folks, I'm telling you, the reason why I sleep so good at night is I know where we're headed. And I would look, I don't want to go into my management consulting experience, but I'm just telling you, if you do things right in the U.S. economy and you let things do what they're supposed to do by the book, and let people succeed where success is warranted and fail where failure is warranted, people figure out how to become productive. That's the one thing Americans can do. We've learned how to hustle. Now, we're losing that to some degree. And the reason why, to be honest with you, I don't know why these third world countries haven't gotten it. Because they've had people I do know the answer, and I'm going to give it to you in a second, but they've been in a struggle, and they've been in a struggle for a long time. And you would think, having struggled for so long, wouldn't you kind of go, I think, I'll put it to you this way. When I was a young kid and I grew up and it was a struggle, I wanted to get around the struggle. If you had said to me, Kevin, you got to walk 2 miles and get water every day, I would be thinking about, every day? Okay, I'm going to do it the first few days, and I'm going to be, every time I would be walking back in that hot Texas sun, I'd be going, we're going to figure out an easier way around this. And I'd probably start looking at well digging equipment. I don't know what my answer would be, but I ain't going to walk every day and go get you hundreds of gallons of water. It just isn't going to happen. I'm going to solve my problem. So the question becomes, well, why don't these communities solve their problems that way? And I can tell you why. They don't think like we do. They don't see that you can make things easier. I use this analogy a lot, but it's truly one of these things where you get it. When I was a kid, the water gun I had shot a straight little beam, almost laser-like, and it would shoot at about 6 to 8 feet. And that was as long as you had a decent amount of water in it. But of course, as soon as the water level got too low, it would run out. And there would always be water left in the reservoir, which would make you mad because the little thing didn't go get all the water. And so you actually had bullets in the gun you couldn't fire. But that was the water gun we all grew up with. And I'm talking about, we had those water guns for decades. There was no ingenuity in the water gun industry. And then this brother and I heard him tell a story. He said, man, I had watched this little water gun when I grew up, and it never changed. And I thought to myself, this is nonsense. We could come up with something better. And he made the Super Soaker. And so you fire that thing and shoo, 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 shoo. I mean, it would shoot a line of water on a rope that could put your eye out. These things are practically dangerous. And man, we would have Super Soaker fights. I remember one of my friends, Brad, has like 10 of these guns. You could have an all-out war. And we did. And it was fun. And then I noticed that not only did the Super Soaker come out, there are 50 different kinds of them, all getting around the patent of the guy who came out with the original one. So you got super soakers you pump. You got super soakers that are, handheld. And I don't know all the technology of the super soaker. I'm sure there's some that got turbos. You do your turbocharge that thing. So see, that's American ingenuity. That's a kid who became an adult, who reflected on his childhood and said, I could do something better. And he does it. Then all around the periphery of him, somebody else goes, let's do something better. And all these guys become multimillionaires because they come up with an idea that we embrace. But meanwhile, in the third world nation, there's a guy still carrying buckets of water on sticks, on like a pole strapped on his shoulders, and he's walking that water back to the camp where somebody boils it or whatever. I don't know what they do. Maybe they cook in it. But the point is, they're still doing it the hard way. And I can tell you, there are many countries where just having running water is a luxury. And they, because the ingenuity, don't be looking at me like I'm crazy. The ingenuity of Americans is second to none. I could talk to you about technology plays when I was selling tech, and I'd go into Compaq Computer or Dell Computer or whatever, and I was selling stuff, and it was state of the art. We were talking about how fast a microprocessor could go, and they were saying, well, we theorize the maximum speed of a microprocessor at 5 gigahertz or something like that. And now we've blown past it. 2 gigahertz, or the timing that needed to happen for this, that. Now, the Cray 1 supercomputer, that was the fastest computer on the planet. That thing is a boat anchor if there ever was one. Your phone, your smartphone is more powerful than the best supercomputer of the 1980s, possibly even the 1990s. Your stinking phone. Everything you can do with it, the technology that can be done with that phone is amazing. It is a spy gadget. It's all kinds of things. And you know where that annuity comes from? It's not coming from South Korea, even though it could. It's coming from people that work at Apple, that work in Silicon Valley. It comes from the imagination of Americans. Now, I'm not trying to tell you folks that these other nations are slackers and they're no good at things. What I'm telling you is when you've lived under the bosom of freedom for so long, your mind is programmed differently. And ours are programmed differently than anybody else's. And now you're about to see a renaissance of that by way of Donald Trump. And the only way that the left can destroy that is they have to destroy Trump. And if they destroy Trump, I think it was James Woods who said, if you destroy Trump, there will be so much hell to pay. If you think getting rid of Obama during his first term would have been, just crazy, try getting rid of Trump. And you have to be vocal about this. I'm vocal. If you try to get rid of Donald Trump, we will raise so much crap in this country. The left they will never win another election. It would be crazy for them. Get over yourselves. He is your president. I'm going to get into, we talked about the job numbers, but I want to get into some of the other leaks that are happening right now. Hopefully we'll get a chance when we come back. Keep it here.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
They don't know how you get Alzheimer's. That's what frightens me. They have no idea. A lot of theories, nothing definitive. Alzheimer's would be a lot easier to prevent and avoid if you could just catch it like an STD. But it's not that easy. You're not going to hear somebody go, hey, watch out for Kathy. Pretty sure she got Alzheimer's. I went out with her last week, and now it burns when I think.
There you go. There you go. Glenn Campbell, gone at the age of 81. A couple days ago, a day or so ago. Poor guy, died of Alzheimer's. Told a friend of mine, she's a professor. We were having a conversation, and she says to me, Kevin, says my mom developed Alzheimer's, and she says it's just so sad. You go home and you expect mom to know all about you, right? You were a kid doing this, that, and the other. She goes, doesn't remember a thing. And I was telling her about my uncle and aunt. I said, it's funny, my uncle and aunt both had a form of dementia, Alzheimer's, and or something, and they remembered little things, from when I was a kid, and they remembered things about their childhood, but they can't. She goes, yes, for my mom, she can remember things about her childhood, but she doesn't remember. There's big gaps in her life. And she says, but here's the irony. She said, my mother's lived 10 years beyond her expected time frame because they had diagnosed her to die earlier because her anxiety level dropped to such a degree that it was like, psst, no worries. Couldn't remember what to be worried about. I watched the thing on short-term memory loss. People that cannot remember longer than a few seconds. Try to be a student or try to learn something and you can't remember longer than a few seconds. I think that sometimes when I play piano, I'm like, somebody will teach me a chord. I'm like, woohoo. And then 3 days later, I'm like, hey, Billy, could you teach me that chord again? We all have some sort of memory issue. And you can train yourself to think differently. The brain is so cool, man. You can restructure it. Look at work by Dr. Amen. Looks like Amen. Dr. Amen, that's the way to pronounce his name. The brain is I think the only organ outside of the skin that rebuilds itself like the brain reconstitutes. You have a brand new brain every 90 days or so. It's something like that. Brand new, reformed, rethinking how those things come together. And I'm sure it's like anything else. It's like your skin. Once you get to a certain age, your skin doesn't have the elasticity that it had. Your brain doesn't either. But you know how you can help with that elasticity in your skin? You work out. And your brain's the same way. I love how comedians take something that's tragic and they make it into something funny. A guy says, when I think, it burns when I think. But, Alzheimer's is one of those diseases that you don't know when it creeps up. If you have a memory lapse, do you think, oh, shoot, do I have Alzheimer's? Is it preventable? What could I do? But the brain is a mystery. I'm glad I got Dr. Ben Carson as a friend. I can call him, hey, Dr. Carson, Kevin here. Hey, Dr. Carson, Kevin here. Yeah, Kevin, you said it. What? Help me, Dr. Carson. Anyway, I am sad to see Glenn Campbell go. We talked about it earlier, but I just found that clip, and one of my producers did, and I thought we'd play it as an homage. So what's going to happen? We're going to get rid of Mueller? What's the long game? How do you see things playing out? Do you want Mueller gone? If you could write the script of what happens in the next 6 months, is Hillary Clinton in jail? Is Barack Obama on the run? Is Loretta Lynch in jail? Is Bill Clinton in jail? Is the Clinton Foundation shut down? What about the lobbyists and the people who don't care about your interest in government? Have we drained the swamp in 6 months? Will we have? Should we be allowing lobbyists for even the gun lobby, the tax lobby? Should we allow these people in if they aren't doing the will of the people? For example, I don't care about the gun lobby. I love the NRA in the sense that they fight for Second Amendment rights. But the funny thing about it is, why would you have to fight for a right that's already our God-given right of protection, and it's been ordained by the Constitution in the form of the Second Amendment? Why do we need these guys fighting for us? I mean, you want to have an organization that says, I support the Second Amendment. Congratulations, and charge your fees and go teach people about proper gun etiquette, and et cetera, and push for things that get your thing out there, that grow your business. You got no argument from me. I'm happy to see you do it. I'd like all the amendments. I want somebody fighting for the 14th Amendment, for the sovereignty of the citizen. You know, why do we need that 14th Amendment? The slavery things are over. Let's just get rid of 14 and just say, okay, it's run its course. It was written for slaves. It's being used to abuse us. I want to see things change. I want to see things make a difference. Ask me what I want in 6 months. I'll tell you, I want all those people I said in jail. I want the criminals who are being complicit in doing it. I'm talking about the lobbyists and the various politicians who are doing these things against us. I want them all in jail. And I want a government back that's responsible to us. And then I want us working on real problems. See, we as conservatives have to get off of our high horses. Let me say that again. We have to get off of our high horses. And we've got to get out there in the community, and we've got to do something. We've got to show people that we're more than just talk. See, that's what you like about Donald Trump right now. You look back at this guy who you kind of blown off, and you're finding out he's not just talk. And I'm going to give you a little tidbit. I'm going to look around, make sure nobody else is listening, okay? Here's another little tidbit for you. You like people like that. You like people that aren't just talk. Doesn't it surprise you? I had some kids come over to help me move furniture in. And you know what those two boys did? They didn't come over here and watch. They didn't come over here and talk. We got inside of a truck that had to be 120 degrees. It was 105 outside. And we moved boxes. Some of those boxes were 70 pounds. It was like hay bundles. And we slung it, man. And these kids were sweating. I'd only met one of them 3 times, and the first time I met the other kid. He's a Mormon. And his dad is a huge fan of mine, and he told him, you go over and help Mr. Jackson. And the kid came over, and he worked his butt off. And I was like, I didn't have to say a word. What's next, Mr. Jackson? What else you need me to do? I was impressed. Yeah. Now, don't misunderstand me. But we can be impressed. Everybody can work, and we go, okay, work is the norm. But then there's some people that go above and beyond. But we're at a point where we're impressed if you just want to work. You don't have to be good. It's almost like, hey, he sucks at his job, but he shows up every day. I love it. So what do you want to see happen? You got the world by the string right now, folks. Donald Trump's president. He's getting everybody in order. I've already talked to you about what he's doing with Richard Blumenthal. I said Donald Trump is doing one of the most strategic things with Richard Blumenthal ever. It was a great segment. I hope you listened to it, but I'll give you a little tidbit. He's sending a warning shot to every senator out there and every politician out there that if I decide to attack you, you're toast. Don't you think that's kind of cool? So what do you want to see? Who do you want to see go down? You tired of Mitch McConnell? You tired of Paul Ryan? Who are you tired of? Donald Trump doesn't have to attack anybody on the left unless he's making a point. He wants Pelosi in there. He wants Schumer in there. They're whipping whipping boys and girls. I'll figure it out. He wants them there. And what he wants to do with Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and others is to say, look, guys, you're Congress, and I need you, but you better straighten out. So what do you want to see? Well, I want you to imagine a world that you put together. What's that building in the empire? I see the commercials all the time. I want you to build your empire. Trump's running it, and you get to set his strategy. And let me know what you do. I'd be curious. You know my thoughts. I want to see this swamp drained. I want lobbyists gone. I want transparency. I want Donald Trump to open up the Komodo on everything Barack Obama did and let us know. You know why he doesn't do it? He's afraid to tell leftists how bad things are for them, how bad it got. And I think they're afraid to let us know that too. And I also want to know what Sessions' agenda is now. I'm getting some rumblings about him. So maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. I got to leave it there, folks.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.